Welcome once again to the Big Joe Corner. This is Big Joe welcoming you to the Big Joe Corner, our corner where you and me talk about so many things, discuss things, complain about things, celebrate things related to sports, and talk about sports and life. Yes, it's yet another edition, a special one this time, where you and I get to reflect on things that relate sports and life. Today's edition is a bit different because it's more of a reflective one. And reflective on what? Reflective on a personality that shared a time that shared a life, a personality that you felt you shared a life with, much as you may not have shared in a sports arena, stadium or the like, but you felt this person was part of you. Who am I talking about here? I'm talking about the late Diego Armando Maradona. Remember him? Of course you do. Well, I'm going to bring this one closer to myself, but I know many of you will relate with me because Diego Maradona was bigger than Diego, probably bigger than the game, to the point that when he died, some of us found it a little quite difficult to compose something to pay tribute to him. Now this is what this special edition of the Big Joe Corner is all about. Like I said, Big Joe is about sports and life. We talk from the heart. We talk about everything sport and life, blend them, and we feel the emotion in it. I chose to focus on Diego Maradona simply because Diego Maradona is somebody that became an enigma, somebody that became kind of difficult to understand. Yet, he played in a very short time, between 1982 and between 1994. 12 years. I've seen people play who played for 20 years. But they never left the impact Diego Maradona had. Maradona's impact is between 1986 and 1994, something like 8 years. Let's go back in time. 1986, with a man, he had played at the 1982 World Cup in Spain, that was won by Italy. Nobody noticed him. 1986, he burst onto the stage in Mexico. You all remember that World Cup, the World Cup that became his signature World Cup. A World Cup where he single-handedly carried Argentina to victory, scoring 5 goals, making 5 assists, meaning I think Argentina scored something like 14 goals, 10 of them, he had something to do with them. Now, growing up, our hero was Maradona. Now, this guy is sold and promoted, but the man lives and outshines the standard that had been set for him. Not only did he do it on the pitch, in terms of playing football, limited to the 90 minutes, the man entertained. If you saw the juggling of the ball before kickoff, if you saw the way he entertained, if you saw how he danced, his goal celebrations, his leadership on the pitch, beating opponents, the way he dressed, his character alone, the man was bigger than the game itself. Now, for us as teenagers, as kids growing up then, it was so fulfilling. It planted the passion of sports, football, to be specific for me. Maradona has a lot to do with my love for sports today. Well, to cut the long story short, he wins the World Cup with a 3-2 win over West Germany. That time we had West Germany and East Germany. He wins it with a 3-2, and well, the rest you've been told. But something interesting in there is that Maradona influenced so many of the games, from the kickoff, from the first game they played into the second round to the quarterfinals, the 2-0 win against Belgium, and then finally he goes into the final. The final, the Germans are very good at preparations. They prepare to take Diego Maradona out of the game as a way of trying to beat Argentina. But guess what? He was then focused. They forgot that there are 10 other stars in that Argentina team. From Pompidou to Valdano, Sergio Batista, quite a number of them. They forgot. Maradona never scored a single goal in the final because the attention was so much on him. So that is the kind of leadership. When the Germans recovered and made it 2-2, Maradona came, he had to have the final say. He came through with that final pass that he gave to Burruchaga to make it 3-2, and they won the World Cup. Like I said, the rest is all there for you, heard and seen. Maradona, now for me, that time I was going to high school in Kako. Now, the wait for the World Cup 1994, because what the man had done in 86 was one of the longest. 4 years looked like 10 years because we couldn't wait for another Maradona show. Remember, we didn't have the Premier League, so much football like we have today, and that meant that you had to wait 4 years for you to get to see Maradona again. I remember the message then was avoid AIDS so that you live to see Maradona again. Can you imagine the positioning of such an icon? Well, 1990 comes. Opening game, this is now Italia 90, World Cup 1990. The Maradona show is on again, part 2. Now for us as Africans, it was tricky because the opening game was between Cameroon and Argentina. Many of us, you know the African solidarity when it comes to the World Cup. Many of the Africans were following Cameroon. Quietly, I was supporting Argentina. I'm sorry to say, but yeah, that's what it was. But sadly enough, again I go down with my Maradona. We lost the game to Cameroon. That goal, many of you remember the goal by Francois Mwambiik. Cameroon beats Argentina 1-0. Unheard of. Cameroon was a no-entity. Argentina had all these stars. But well, Argentina recovers, led by Maradona. They recover, they get to the final again. That final against Germany. This time Germany overpowers them, of course, with that penalty from Bremer, and Argentina loses. Now Maradona goes down in tears. I was very heartbroken to see Maradona break, but I knew my Maradona would be back. But to be honest with you, that was the end of the Maradona show. Because the next World Cup in 1994, world dynamics came in, world football politics came into play, drug issues came into play. And in a game, I think they were going to play against Bulgaria. Maradona tests positive, and if I remember, he was banned from the game and suspended from the game. And yeah, I think Argentina goes on to lose that game, I think by 2-0, if I'm not mistaken. Now, from there onwards, it was a downward trend for Diego Maradona. Well, for me, the part he had done, you can never take it out from me. The rest of the story, of course, he became a human, and he never got a number of things right. We can't judge him. But as a football fan, as a guy he touched, whose heart he touched, for me, Maradona remained Diego Maradona. All the other issues that came from me, those are global issues, off the pitch issues that we can never really judge him for. Now, like I said, the Big Joe Corner is about life and sports, mixed, blended. What lessons do I pick here? Diego Maradona, one, on the pitch, he made the game have more attributes than we know today, than the commercialized game. One, he entertained. Two, he loved his country. Passion. If you've seen Argentina playing rugby, Diego Maradona was the country's #1 sports fan, leave alone being an icon worshipped in Argentina. He became a sports icon in that whenever Argentina was playing either the World Cup, at the Junior Cups, Women's World Cup, rugby, Diego Maradona was always there with his blue and white shirt, waving and cheering. That is a person who loves, that's a patriot, person who loves the country, person who loves sports, a #1 fan. That's one lesson I really picked. And then two, he provided leadership. Even where the game things were not going right on the pitch, he always picked up the ball, went and decided the game for the night. If you remember the game against England, he did that. If you remember the game against Germany, after Germany recovered in the 1986 World Cup, after Germany recovered from a 2-0 down to make it 2-2, many players, many of their heads would have dropped in frustration, in the getting scared. Maradona picks up the ball and has a final save. That through pass to Bruchaga for him to make it through. That leadership you can apply elsewhere in life, at your workplaces, in the corporate world, in the family, in difficult situations, in happiness moments, in decision making, crisis like Corona times we have today. Leadership is a very important thing. He didn't, at the time he was influencing, he was not even the captain, but he was influencing. Leadership can come in form of so many things. Now, one thing that many who share this special preposition of Diego Maradona in our lives that I recognize is the club called Napoli in Italy. Napoli, because of what Diego Maradona did for them, they changed the name of their stadium to Diego Armando Stadium. I think that's the biggest honor you can give somebody who has contributed to your life. That's another lesson. Appreciation and showing gratitude to the person who has contributed best or biggest in your life. So I honored that one. But as I close my Diego Maradona tribute and sharing my sentiments with him, and like I said, many of you share with me, I really want to close this tribute by declaring Maradona as the GOAT. For me, Maradona is the GOAT. For those who don't know what the GOAT is, it's not an insult. The GOAT means the greatest of all time. I know that debate has been on. Pele, Maradona. I'll give you Maradona in a day. I've talked about Maradona in so many other forums, and I speak passion. I even spoke about Maradona before he died. But for me, that was it. It's not because he's dead, it's because I recognize him as who he is. Pele, Maradona, give me Maradona. Messi, Maradona, give me Maradona, because he played in different times. There was no technology, there was no internet, there was no all this enhancing and whatever. So I'll close my show, I'll close the big show. This is a special edition of Diego Maradona by declaring Maradona, Diego Armando Maradona, the GOAT. Finally, I would really want to thank the Sportus Africa platform for giving the Big Joe Corner an opportunity to express itself. Like we said, not many out there would welcome emotional, sentimental things that maybe are not hotspot stories. But thank you, Sportus Africa. Big Joe Corner owes you big time. You're the best in Africa. See you in our next edition.